Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all my lovely students. I hope that you all are well and fine and doing great at home. I hope you all are safe at home. So today we are back with another lecture of our social studies class. So class, this is overall your lecture number 20 and there is no need to introduce myself, but still let's This is your teacher, Ms. Zunaira, your social studies teacher, and we are going to have a new lecture today. So let's get started. So as you all know that in our previous class, we started a new chapter and the name of the chapter was Our Languages. The name of the chapter was Our Languages. This is your chapter number 6 and it is on page number 6 of your social studies book, right? In the beginning of this chapter, we came to know the meaning of language, that what is a language. We know that language is a mean of communication. We can communicate with each other by a language. Here are some of the things to learn and these are on your screen. So first of all, we learned about the story of Urdu, that how Urdu came into being and how Urdu developed. In the story of Urdu, we learned that what does Urdu mean? Okay, Urdu means camp in Turkish. Afterwards, we saw the development of Urdu up to Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. There was a big period of time. People came and they introduced different new things in the language of Urdu. This is how the Urdu language was developed. Okay, so today we are going to learn about the regional languages of Pakistan. Okay, in Pakistan, many of the languages are spoken. They are called as regional languages. Our mother tongue, the national language is Urdu, but apart from Urdu, there are a number of the languages which are being spoken in Pakistan. Afterwards, we would learn about Jeeve Jeeve Pakistan, that it was written by whom. Then regional of languages, I had repeated here. The English languages in Pakistan. We would see the English language in Pakistan, that how the English language is spoken in Pakistan. Afterwards, we would learn something about Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar. Languages for national unity, it means we would learn about the importance of language, that why it is important for the unity of a nation, right? Then the influence of Rumi. Who was Rumi and what was his influence on the Urdu language or the languages, we would see. And in the last, we would learn about national anthem. Okay, we would see that national anthem written by whom and when was it written. Everything we would learn about the national anthem in this chapter. So here is the review of our last lecture. Let's have again here. People used to meet in army camps. Okay, as we discussed in the story of Urdu, that we know that Urdu is a hybrid language. Urdu is a mixture. So what used to happen? People used to meet in army camps. Okay, soldiers were recruited from Turkey, Persia, Afghanistan, as well as various regions of South Asia and throughout the world as well. So they used to come from different regions, so they used to speak their own languages which were spoken in their regions. So their languages mixed up and new hybrid came to be known as Urdu. Okay, this is how a new hybrid came, because people used to meet in army camps. So this is how, in this way, the Urdu came to its form. Now see, Urdu means camp in Turkish. Why does it mean camp in Turkish? Because you can see that how it was originated. Okay, it was basically originated from army camps. So this is how we have kept their name as camp or Urdu. Development of Urdu up till Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, we learned about Wali Dakkani. Wali Dakkani was a very first poet who wrote the complete collection of ghazals, which is also known as Diwan in Urdu. Okay, so we can see one of his achievement as that he was the first poet who who had written the complete collection of ghazals, which is also known as Diwan. Then afterwards, we learned about Shah Waliullah. Shah Waliullah, we know that he did not write anything in Urdu, but why we include his name in the development of Urdu? Because he started a movement of spreading general knowledge about the religion and society among common people, which had an effect on the development of Urdu in the next generation. Okay, he did not write anything, but he started a kind of movement which had a great impact on the development of Urdu. Afterwards, we learnt about Mir Taqi Mir, right? The generation after Shah Waliullah produced many of the poets of Urdu language. They included famous poets like many of the poets were there, but Mir Taqi Mir was the one who stands out, the genius who developed Urdu for expressing almost any kind of thought. So this was the very first thing which was started by Mir Taqi Mir. So what can we remember about him? We can remember one of his achievement that he stands out of the genius who developed Urdu for expressing almost any kind of thought. Then, Sachal Sarmas, you might have heard this word or this name. Sachal Sarmas, he was a great Sufi. He was a Sufi as well, okay? We learned about the Sufi that the people who believe in peace and love, they are called Sufi or Sufi saints, okay? And what is Sufism? It's an approach to Islam. So basically, Sachal Sarmas was a Sufi poet, right? And uh, but he wrote poetry in 7 languages. Okay, he did not write his poetry in only Urdu language. He had written the poetry in 7 languages, from which the Urdu was one. Right afterwards, we learnt about the Mir Aman of Delhi. He belonged to Delhi. Okay, if we talk about him, so there was a book named as Bago Bahar. Okay, it was an interesting story which was translated by Amir Aman of Delhi. But who was the writer of it? The very basic writer of Bago Bahar was Amir Khusro. Then it was translated in Urdu by Mir Aman of Delhi. Mirza Ghalib is very famous and everybody knows about him. Okay, so Mirza Ghalib was a great poet, historian, and thinker, and well known throughout the South Asia. Although he wrote mainly in Persian, but he wrote some of the Urdu's finest poetry, which are very fine, and developed Urdu for expressing deep philosophical thoughts as well. Bahadur Shah Zafar, you already know about many things about Bahadur Shah Zafar, that he was the last Mughal emperor, okay, and he was a weak ruler. So he used to have the mushaira, okay. He used this prestige, which prestige people used to respect him a lot. So he used this prestige for propagating Urdu poetry through recitals. What is recitals? Recitals mean mushaira, okay. Then we learned about the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and he is the well-known personality who started a movement again. Okay, if we talk about the Hindus, many of the Hindus in South Asia, or especially in subcontinent, they started a movement against Urdu. They did not want Urdu to be developed. So what Sir Syed Ahmed did? Sir Syed Ahmed Khan introduced a new trend in the language of Urdu, that was of introduction of magazines. So magazines were firstly introduced by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. Okay, And there was a great Urdu poet or critic, and his name was Maulana Hali. Maulana Hali called Sir Syed Ahmad Khan as the father of Urdu. If you Google this thing, that who is the father of Urdu, the name of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan will not be appeared. So I'm telling you this thing here that Maulana Hali, who was a great poet, he called him the father of Urdu because he had he has done many things for the development of Urdu. Regional languages of Pakistan. This is really common thing and everybody knows about it that there are a number of these languages from which the main languages are Sindhi, Punjabi, Pashto, Balochi and Persian. They are spoken in different regions of South Asia. Okay? What are the regional languages of Pakistan? The regional languages of Pakistan are basically provincial languages, which are Sindhi, Punjabi, Pashto, Balochi, and Persian. Okay, so let's learn them one by one. Sindhi, the language which is the provincial language of Sindh. It was being spoken when Muhammad bin Qasim conquered Sindh in 712 AD. We had learned about this thing that Muhammad bin Qasim conquered the Sindh in 712
मेरे साथ
Is my voice clear now? Okay. Let's continue. Sorry, beta, there was internet problem. Okay, now is it clear? Okay, so let's continue. We started the regional languages of Pakistan. Okay, regional languages are mainly provincial languages, but some of the languages are there that those languages are not provincial language, but they are spoken in particular areas. Okay, so we are going to start from Sindh, that is our provincial language as well. Okay, so Sindhi is a language which is spoken in Sindh province, right? And it was being spoken when Muhammad bin Qasim conquered Sindh in 712 AD. We learned about the Muhammad bin Qasim and we know that he conquered the Sindh. So when he conquered the Sindh, the Sindhi language was already spoken there. After this conquest, Arabic was spoken in Sindh for some time. Why? Because we know that when we were learning about Muhammad bin Qasim was an Arab general. So when the time when he conquered the Sindh, he started the trend of Arabic over there. Okay, so after conquest, Arabic was spoken in Sindh for some time. But after weakening of Arab empire, Sindhi progressed again and became the first local language into which the Quran was translated. Okay, this is a good point, and you have to remember it that after some times, after the weakening of Arab empire, Sindhi progressed again and became the first local language in which Quran was translated, right? Sindhi absorbed many Arabic words this way. As we know about the development of Urdu, that Urdu came from many of the languages because people used to meet in army camps, so their words get mixed and a new hybrid came as Urdu. Okay, likewise, after Arabic Empire, many of the Arabic words were absorbed in the Sindhi language. Okay, so Sindhi is a language which is spoken in Sindh province and it was being spoken when Maulana Muhammad bin Qasim conquered Sindh in 712 AD. Okay, now here are some of the poets of Sindhi language. Ganj, also called Risalo, consists of 30 sections. Here we are learning about Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai and Sachal Sarmas. There were many of the poets of Sindhi language. Many of the poets were there for the who wrote their poetry in Sindhi language, but the most famous personalities are in front of you. They are Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai and Sachal Sarmas. For Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai, we have to remember some of the points, including Ganj. Ganj was written by him. What is Ganj? Ganj is a kind of magazine or the collection that is consisting of 30 sections. As we know that there are 30 sections of Quran. Likewise, Ganj is a collection which is also known as Risalo, and it is consisting of 30 sections. Okay, it consists several stories, including seven brave women, and he called them this story as Seven Queens, in which he discussed seven women of Sindh, especially. When we learn about Sachal Sarmas, he wrote poetry in seven languages, including Urdu, as we learned his achievement in the development of Urdu as well. Okay, so as I told you that Sachal Sarmas wrote his poetry in seven languages, from which Urdu was the one, and he wrote his poetry in Sindhi as well. So this is how he is one of the famous poet of Sindhi language. Now here comes the next language, which is Punjabi, and it is the language of Punjab. It is an old language. Earliest Punjabi texts are about 2000 years ago. Now you can see that how old this language is. It adopted a new script from Persian and Arabic after the advent of Islam. And here comes some of the famous Punjabi poets. and it includes Shah Hussain, Sultan Bahu, Bulle Shah, Khwaja Ghulam Farid, Mir, Meher Ali Shah, Waris Shah, and Baba Farid Shakkarganj. Okay, so they are the famous Punjabi poets, and their names are here in front of you. We must know that Punjabi is an old language. ठीक है? Now, Punjabi is the language of Punjab, and it is also uh, if we talk about the text of Punjabi language, they are about 2000 years old. However, after the advent of Islam in the region, which region? Punjab. This language also adopted a new script from Arabic and Persian. Some of the best Punjabi poetry are written by Sufi saints. They are Sufi saints as well, okay? Baba Farid Shakkarganj, Shah Hussain, Sultan Bahu, Bulle Shah, Khwaja Ghulam Farid, and Mir Meher Ali Shah. Heer Ranjha, you must have heard about Heer Ranjha, the famous long poem written by Waris Shah in Punjabi. Okay, here you can see the name of Waris Shah. We can remember one of his achievement that Heer Ranjha was written by Waris Shah in Punjabi, is a popular throughout South Asia. And Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor, also wrote some of the ghazals in Punjabi. Okay, now here comes Pashto, which is also a language spoken in Pakistan. Pashto is a language that is spoken in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and northwest of Balochistan, right? It was developed from some old tribes of eastern Iran in ancient times. So Pashto is a language that is spoken in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and northwest of Balochistan. It developed from many languages spoken by old tribes who migrated to this province from eastern Iran and in ancient times. The most famous Pashto poets are Kazim Khan Shaida, Rahman Baba, and Khushal Khan Khattak. Clear? So, the most important famous poet of Pashto language are Kazim Khan Shaida, Rahman Baba, and Khushal Khan Khattak. Now, the Balochi language. It is the provincial language of Balochistan. As the name indicates, it is a kind of language that is spoken in Balochistan, and it is closely related to some local languages of Iran because Baloch tribes originally migrated from there. Okay, now you can see that the way people migrated from one place to another, they used to speak in their own languages. This is how many of the languages came into being. So one of them is Balochi. So why it is closely related to local languages of Iran? Because people or the different tribes migrated from there. Beta, switch off your camera. Switch off your camera. First Blochi magazine was published in 1940, but did not last long. One of the earliest Balochi poets was Gul Khan Nasir, whose collection of poems was published in 1954. Okay? Now here comes the Persian language. It was an official language during Muslim rule in India. We learned about the Muslim rule in South Asia, where we see the Muslim rule in India. This India indicates subcontinent. English replaced it in 19th century but was still taught in many schools as late as 1960s. It is still compulsory for conducting higher research in Urdu. Okay, Persian is an important part of Urdu literature as well. If you go for higher studies in Urdu, it is still compulsory. The first language of many people living in the Balochistan. Persian is the first language of many of the people living in Balochistan. Here are the page numbers from your book, page number 8 of your book, right? Here you can see the regional language of Pakistan. In the, on this page, you can see number of the languages, including our provincial language, Sindhi, Punjabi, Pashto, and on the next page, we'll see Balochi and Persian. Okay, so if you talk about the Sindhi, what kind of things we had learned about it? Sindhi is spoken in province of Sindh. Okay, and it is one of the oldest language of this region, and it was already being spoken when the Arab general Muhammad bin Qasim conquered the province in 712 AD, 712 AD. Right? When we were learning about Muhammad bin Qasim, we learned that he was an Arab general. So when he came to the region of Sindh, there was a trend of Arabic in the region of Sindh. So Sindhi got weakened. But after some times, it was developed again. Okay, and in the second paragraph of the same page, you can see some of the famous poets of Sindhi include Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai and Sachal Sarnas. Okay, the work of Bhitai are collected as Ganj, as I told you. This Ganj is called as Risalo. Okay, this is called as Risalo, and it is very important point, and include 30 sections, just as there are 30 sections or the volumes in Quran. Okay, this is likewise the Ganj, which is a collection, also has 30 sections, and this collection is known as Risalo. Okay, I told you about the story of seven women. Here you can see that these contain several stories, including the seven about seven brave women who are sometimes called seven queens of Bhitai. Now, see, they include Soni, Sassi, Leila, Mumal, Marvi, Noori, and Surat. You might have heard some of the names like Leila and Mumal, Marvi. Okay, so Data Shah Abdul Latif Bidai composed a story that was consisting of seven women. Okay, and he called them as seven queens as well, and they include these names which are in front of you. Then afterwards, here you can see that Sachal Sarmas wrote in seven languages. Okay, he wrote his poetry in seven languages, from which Urdu was the one, and he had written in Sindhi as well. Okay, apart from Urdu and Sindhi, he wrote his poetry in Siraiki, Persian, and other languages spoken in areas where, which is now Pakistan. Okay, then we learned about the Punjabi, then we learned about the Pashto. What you have to remember some 1 to 2 points of each regional language, and you have to remember the names of famous poet of all regional languages, right? So from Sindhi, we must know two of the names, and they are Shah Abdul Latif Bhitai and Sachal Sarmas. From Punjabi, here are number of the names in front of you, from which you can remember some of these, like Varis Shah. It is an important name. Why? Because we can relate this name to a story called Heer Ranjha. Heer Ranjha was a long poem that was written by Varis Shah, right? Then we learned about the Pashto, the language which is spoken in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and northwest of Balochistan. Okay, so it developed from many languages spoken by some old tribes who migrated to this province from eastern Iran in ancient times. Okay, and you can remember some of the names which are written here. Um, Kazim Khan Shaida, Rahman Baba, and Khushal Khan Khattak. Now here is another paragraph, Blochi in Persian. You can read this out, okay? Then we would learn about, in the next class, we would learn about Jive Jive Pakistan. You can see the paragraph over here, okay? And we will learn about Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar and national anthem, okay? So this was all about today's lecture.